Hey guys, welcome back. This is still the same night as Stream 5. I closed the game out, I've checked the internet settings, and we are hoping that maybe if we get through the scene and it stops with the moving screen, it will be a bit better, because Leo mentioned that the opening cinematic of the game was also a bit was a bit difficult for him, so maybe it's just the moving background causing some issues. So we will try to get through this as quickly as possible, and hopefully that'll fix things. I don't remember if any other scenes have a moving background, but yeah, I hope that we can figure this out. Yeah.
Yeah, Discord's just rough for streaming, so we're kind
Yeah.
of just making the best of the situation we can.
It seems to work for every other streamer. It just doesn't seem to work, like, casually. It's weird. Or am I just wrong about that? It's yeah.
Yeah. I think we'll be fine. Alright, we ready? Just
Yeah.
picking right up where we left off.
Yeah.
Alright. You two! Let's not fight, eh? Let's pretend all our little problems only exist in the Abbey. And out here, we're just traveling missionaries. We're brave soldiers on patrol. No. Or adventurous outlaws. Hedwig, I owe you an apology.
More than one. She sighed and adjusted how she was sitting. She rested her forehead in her hands and looked up the floor of her cart.
I should have said something yesterday, but I was indisposed. So, I'm sorry this took so long, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
And I apologize for, well, you know.
No, I don't. Remind me, Eustace. I felt strangely powerful. I folded my arms.
I am sorry that I dressed up as a ghost. I'm sorry I tried to scare you. I went a bit far.
You did it more than once.
Yeah.
How? Why? I mean, it was so elaborate.
Well, I am the sacrist. I saw the suit of armor and thought, well, this could be good for a lark.
What on earth for? What on earth for? Some lark.
It's Abbey tradition to do some kind of hazing prank. I just got carried away.
That is so petty and cruel. Even if it was inappropriate to haze nuns, which it is not, why couldn't it be nicer? Aren't there any nice pranks?
You're right.
What about, I don't know, a surprise feast or a gift? Something along those lines?
I won't argue with you.
You could have just said boo, perhaps. I don't know. That would have been a touch mean-spirited, but you killed a goat for your own entertainment. Eustace shook her head.
I did not kill a goat. That is entirely in your imagination.
I saw it plainly.
Anything you saw like that was a trick of the mind, I promise.
So I'm mad, is that it?
No, it happens to everyone. In a heightened emotional state, you'll often see things that conform to your expectations. Or fears, as it were.
That's ridiculous.
It's true. Did you know there's a mosque in Turkey whose worshippers believe they see the ghost of a young woman in the shadows? It sounds ridiculous, but so many people have claimed to have seen her that it could hardly be an accident. They all see a girl wearing a crown.
I don't particularly care what they're up to in Turkey. Eustace let out a heavy sigh.
Look, the point is, sometimes people see things that aren't there that feel very real. I promise you that I did not kill a goat. I may have been nasty to you, but I would not have killed an innocent animal just to scare you.
So, there was no goat at all.
I did not kill a goat in front of you. I would not do that.
But you would dress up as a ghost.
Yes,
And wave a flaming sword around?
yes. When you put it that way, it does sound rather a cruel joke.
Yeah, how did you even light a sword on fire?
I brushed the blade with oil and held it up to a torch. That's all.
I looked at her dead in the eyes. She matched my gaze for a moment before the cart hit a bump and her glasses were knocked askew. Moira was chuckling softly.
Whoops. Sorry. I'm not very good at this.
Eustace rearranged her glasses and sighed.
I don't always have a perfect grasp of how people might react to things I say or do. Sometimes I run with an idea that isn't as clever as I think it is, or speak my mind to people who aren't interested in my input. I'm sure you've noticed that I can be rather...
Inscrutable?
I was going to say flat, but I'll take inscrutable. Eustace is Eustace! Yes. That. Thank you, Moira. See? At any rate, I would really like to put this behind us. We have to work together after all. Will you accept my apology?
For what? Eustace was approaching this request as if my acquiescence was guaranteed, but I did not respond in kind. I felt vindictive, more vindictive than I ever felt in my entire life. She looked surprised that I hadn't budged.
For my prank, as I said. And my behavior in general, I suppose, which, as you say, can be inscrutable. I will do my best to change that.
Does that include moving my things around? Perhaps putting things in my cell to find later?
What?
I found it. The copy of Matthew I dropped out the window the night you were watching me in my cell.
Hedwig? I do not know what you're talking about.
You have no reason to lie about this anymore. I saw you in the ridiculous costume the very night before, in my cell, I could see you in the grass.
I was not there.
My temper flared, and I let out an embarrassing noise, somewhere between a groan and a shriek. I pulled at my frock and pulled a piece of cloth I had found outside the abbey, somewhat awkwardly. Eustace looked utterly nonplussed. "I found this out there! Who else could it have been but you?"
Any one of us? A drifter? A soldier marching past the abbey who got his cloak stuck on a branch that just so happened to coincide with one woman's mad delusion months later? It could have been anyone, Hedwig. But it wasn't me.
Why should I believe you after what you did the other night? You... I could feel myself turning scarlet as I sputtered. I noticed Moira shrinking into her seat instead of us, and I suddenly felt very embarrassed.
Are you gonna hit me again?
No, of course not.
Alright. Well, you could if you wanted to.
I don't want to.
Well, that's good.
She rubbed her cheek.
It did hurt quite a bit.
I felt horrible now. I looked towards the back of the cart for a while, watching the road move beneath us.
I am sorry. Truly.
And you promise that you haven't left any mysterious books for me anywhere?
I did not put that book in your cell. I haven't ever been to your cell at all, as a matter of fact.
I looked back towards Eustace. She was holding a hand out to me, and she had the faintest hint of a pleading look in her eye. I was not sure what to do. I was furious with her still, but I knew that letting that anger stew any longer would only serve to make me miserable. After all, we had to work in the same room. Not only that, but I still felt highly guilty for attacking Eustace in response to her practical joke. Justified or not, it was not a response that had ever been in my repertoire. I very much wanted to never feel compelled to violence ever again. I wanted to bury those feelings deep in the ground forever. I was still mulling over my response when a pair of fritters appeared in front of my face.
Would these help?
Eustace and I both looked over at Moira, whose back was still turned to us as she watched the road ahead. She had reached one arm behind her, two tasty-looking pastries held like Adela's cards between her fingers. I tucked a little black cloth I had been waving in Eustace's face back into my stocking and sighed.
Just wondering.
Eustace and I both took one. I nibbled at it and instantly felt at peace.
Wow. These are good. They were supposed to all be for the village, but I snuck a few away for the trip.
I'm glad you did. I could hear Moira crunching on her own fritter.
Oh, so I am now.
So am I now.
No. Goodness, these are some lucky people we're about to visit. I thought you didn't like...
I'm sorry, I'm so discombobulated by the stream. I'm just trying to do my best.
It's okay.
I thought you didn't like Lindbarrow, Moira. Oh, I have my criticisms.
Eustace took another bite of her pastry.
I suppose we all do. Catherine most of all. The one with the C. I doubt she would have approved of this gesture. Oh, she would have done it. She would have just complained a lot beforehand. And after.
They chuckled a bit, as if sharing a private joke. We finished our fritters. Eustace licked her fingers and wiped the crumbs off her frock before extending a hand out to me again.
friends?
I paused for a moment, but I couldn't keep this self-righteous act up much longer. Even if I did not fully believe that Eustace had also placed that book in my cell as part of some elaborate next step to her foiled prank, I suppose I had no reason to hang it on over her head forever. I reached out and grabbed Eustace's wrist, and her fingers curled around my own. "Friends." Eustace smiled, but her face soon returned to its default flat expression as soon as she leaned back against the side of the cart. "So, why wouldn't Catherine with a C have liked doing this?"
He also had, opinions about the townsfolk.
"I'm a little shocked. Does anyone have a good relationship with the town?"
I'm sure the Superior handles it all well enough. Surely it felt a little odd that nobody from the village came to seek your advice when you were an anchoress.
I was surprised until I had it explained to me that, well, we're having to take a cart ride to even get there, aren't we?
That's right. I think people never really liked that fact. It put us on the wrong foot from the get-go.
But Limbo Abbey is rather old, isn't it? Surely things might have, I don't know, improved?
Right. The distance and inconvenience is just part of it. Well, you'll see. I suppose if I had to put it delicately, if we had the ability to choose the kind of villagers our abbey served, which we don't. Of course not. But if we did, well, it wouldn't be a town like Lindbarrow.
I was quite frankly appalled by this. If I hadn't already shaken hands and made up with Eustace, I might have reconsidered agreeing on this endeavor after hearing such conceited talk. What a horrible thing to say!
It is what it is. You'll see when we get there. They're not all bad.
I was trying to think of things to say that wouldn't reopen the just sutured wound between Eustace and myself, and was struggling to come up with anything. However, just as the cart rounded a sharp switchback corner, I thought of something Catherine would have said in the Misericorde. I hadn't dared mention with something the Superior had given me for this excursion, but I reasoned that since Catherine with a K herself had mentioned it to me while drinking, it wouldn't arouse suspicion. Catherine is from the village, isn't she? With a K?
Catherine was Irish. She means Catherine the First, the one with the K. Oh. Silly me. Sorry. Anyways, yes. Catherine, as you put it, used to live in Lindbarrow.
He mentioned something about being run out of the town. She seemed rather bitter about it.
As well she should. I'm surprised she told you all of this. But, yes, it's true. We don't talk about it much. It's a fast way to put her in a rotten mood. I would feel the same. It's so unfair.
Would it be prying too much to ask what exactly happened? She was quite vague about it.
It's not our story to tell. Like I said, it's a touchy subject. Suffice to say, it put me off of the town. The way they treated her.
I won't pry.
That's good. I'd be chuffed that she told you anything about it at all, though. That's real trust, that.
This line of questioning seemed to be a non-starter. I had hoped for a moment that I could get my assignment completed before stepping out of the cart. A wave of panic hit me as I realized that not only were my environs so about to be completely unfamiliar, I was also about to be surrounded by people. Strange, new people who sounded like they were predisposed to dislike me. I did poorly enough navigating my own conflicts. Now, though I would be forced to deal with a few that sounded like it had been simmering for years. How long had Catherine the K been ousted from Limburrow? How long before that had the townfolk presented the abbey up on the hill? I was inheriting a mess that may very well started before I was even born. The rest of our journey went without conversation. Eustace furrowed her brow and rested her chin in her hands, gazing out at the back of the cart for the remainder of the trip. I couldn't bring myself to relax. That the miasma of indignance toward Eustace had more or less dissipated. Now panic was setting in. I began to worry about falling out of the cart and hurting myself. What if I got lost in town and Moira and Eustace was forced to leave me there? What if a particularly large crate fell on my head? What if we were set upon by strangers with murderers or lascivious intent? If I had to choose one of the scenarios, which was most likely, and which would be my preferred outcome? I was mulling over these ghoulish bits of calculus so intensely that I didn't notice that the cart had stopped.
Hedwig?
Is it any better?
No, I was actually just videoing to show you what it was like. It's a little bit better, but
We're gonna have to Google this. This is ridiculous.
yeah, it's fine.
I
There may
thought
just be a couple seconds of delay.
Discord was really good. Like that, it was like the whole purpose of the site. I guess it's not the whole purpose, but it's like the main reason I use it. I thought it was like a main feature selling point of it. To screen share stuff.
Yeah,
basically.
I mean, there's only so much you can do over the internet in general.
I mean,
That's why streaming with OBS and stuff is so much better. Discord, like screen sharing was never going to be nearly as good.
Discord can't handle a visual novel. Ugh.
Oh yeah, it definitely couldn't handle vivid stasis during the rhythm sections and stuff.
Yeah,
It was like this, but much worse.
yeah. I'm just glad it's not like Dark Souls or Witcher or something. Or Xenoblade. Holy cow, that would be awful.
Yeah, this is not designed for stuff like that. Yeah. I'm trying to do like a not quite a Saturday voice for Eustace. I'm trying to make it distinct. I'm worried that I'm falling into that. But
It's your voice.
anyways.
We are here!
Moira had stopped the cart next to the wooden post at the edge of a very muddy road.
Yeah. I should have remembered to wear boots. I remembered.
Moira finished tying the donkey's reins to the post and enthusiastically lifted her robe to show off her shoes.
Wow. Fancy.
I didn't know there was any boots in the abbey.
They're a must once it starts snowing. Ask the superior about it when you get a chance. Although, the ones we typically get aren't as posh as those. These were a gift. Lucky you. Hedwig, don't worry about the mud. Just get out of the cart.
It looks really foul.
Over here. It's not quite as mushy.
I don't know.
Just step down.
It's really not that bad.
I glanced between Eustace, whose robe was already getting muddy around the fringe, and Moira, who was enthusiastically gesturing at me from her position on a harder packed bit of road. So I feel like this is less um I'm back to this whole other thing. I feel like this is less I'm not good with words. Demanding, less demanding than like a Magic the Noah stream. So like how do they Discord call if it can not barely handle text on the screen with his little like Google images moving around a lot and stuff? Cuz it that seems like it would
I
be
wouldn't say those move around a lot.
they
That's
it
Microsoft Paint and occasionally a wheel.
yeah, it's less than text though. The moving background is stretching it a bit, but I think it's less than text right now on screen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been fine if not for the like flashing back a couple seconds or
Hmm.
like a couple minutes things.
How to optimize screen share casting thing Discord. Adjust settings, lower FPS resolution, close background apps, ensure Discord has an admin rights. I don't know.
I'll check my internet speed again, but I think it's just streaming in general isn't going to be perfect in situations like this.
I just feel like there are a lot of content creators who use Discord screen sharing, and it's during like Pokemon, I think, and stuff like that.
Yeah, but also those things, uh, I would say, I mean, it's like this in the sense that uh, it doesn't need to be instant and stuff.
Hmm.
Like, it's okay if there's a second of delay and things are a bit choppy because you can still understand what's happening.
Yeah. But there was still never like a title screen flash for them. That well, obviously they're more professional and would edit videos to cut that out. But I just feel like
Yeah.
I don't know.
And also, I mean, they never record the Discord screen share. They're always recording their own perspective from OBS. I mean,
That
nothing like
is
that's ever flashed on the YouTube. I was watching the YouTube at the same time that I was suffering, and everything was buttery smooth. So,
no drats. Hmm.
yeah, it is simply not a big deal.
It is a big deal when it comes to collaborations. It's fine on the audience end. I'm just concerned about future projects and stuff. And like if we can ever expand our collaborations to anything outside visual novels.
Yeah,
That's where the
it'll be
my
fine. I
main
don't need
concern
quick
is.
reaction times.
Yeah.
That's all you.
I mean, if reading dialogue on time is hard enough in a visual novel, I don't want to see what it would be like in like streaming Trails or like something or like Dark Souls if I ever do that or Monster Hunter Wilds. Holy cow. That would look awful screen shared.
My it wouldn't be screen shared. My computer would start melting. My computer. That game looks like a PS2 game on my thing.
Yeah, it does not look good on my end either.
Yeah. World and Rise look really good, but Wilds looks awful.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just concerned. All right, lamenting out of the way. Let's just figure this out. Let's continue. I glanced between Eustace, whose robe was already getting muddy around the fringe, and Moira, who was enthusiastically gesturing at me from her position for a harder packed bit of road. Against my better instincts, I awkwardly positioned myself at the end of the cart. And do you want to be the boy or a girl?
Guess it doesn't matter to me either way.
Pick one.
Uh,
I'll let them show on screen if when they come up.
Here, I'm gonna flip a coin. Tails is males. Tails, you take the girl.
All right.
Wow!
Miraculously, I had landed on the sturdy bit of road. My legs clearly
It wasn't
still weak.
miraculous. Moira told you where to jump.
My legs clearly still weak from the recent bouts of sprinting, screamed at me to never do that again and gave way almost immediately in protest. Luckily, Moira caught me. My head crashed on her shoulders, and we stumbled together for a few steps before regaining our footing. Sorry.
Who would have known that we had a little acrobat tucked away in that cell? Yes, very well done. Unfortunately, I'm going to need both of you to step back over here to help me with the fritters.
Thankfully, we didn't need long open.
Is that me?
Yep, you're the male.
What's all this then?
We come bearing gifts.
Is that right?
A woman emerged behind the gruff-looking man. Both of them looked cautious.
Feels like it's been donkey's years since you lot came down here.
Sister Moira and Sister Eunice, was it?
Eustace, milady.
My apologies. Wow, that's really peeking the mic. Okay. My apologies. I didn't recognize this one.
Oh, this is Sister Hedwig. She's new, in an old kind of way.
I tried to say something, but all I could muster was a little noise. I waved instead.
We heard about Catherine.
Yeah, you did.
Yes, the one with the snake.
Oh, that one. Okay. Yeah, I was about to say, we banished her from these parts.
Terrible thing, that. I can't help but feel responsible.
Please, don't. It's not your fault.
James was a troubled boy as well. Well before we started looking after him. No helping some people, that's what I've learned. James lived here?
Hey. My nephew. Always a little funny, that one. But I never would have... I didn't know he was that kind of blackguard.
Lost his family in the war years ago.
They were taken for spies traveling home one night. He'd be, what, 22, 23 now? He was supposed to be running the family in by now, but he wasn't cut out for being a landlord.
I'm not sure there's much of a link left.
Anyway, we took him in and put him to work on the farm. We do modest work here. A little bit of animal husbandry, but the real money is in stabling the horses for folks in town. James was a real helping hand on a good day, but he had a habit of running off whenever he felt like it, sleeping in, being a nuisance in town.
God rest him, but he was a sloppy worker. Terrible with the animals. Never had more livestock go missing than when we left it up to him.
We were doing something good taking him in. He had potential. Some people find their way later than others. I really do believe that. It was only right. But now, here we are.
If you're here to solicit donations, it'd only be right for us to be generous.
Oh, that's so kind. But we're actually here to bring you something.
Moira opened her bag and held it out in front of the couple.
Well now, did Sister Darcy make these?
That's right.
In that case, I don't mind if I do.
He and his wife happily took a pastry each. They bit into them, and I could see a sense of relief overtake their worried faces. Crumbs, that's good!
Too right.
He took another bite. As he munched, he pointed a thick, calloused finger towards me.
So, what's your story?
It's not altogether very interesting. I heard about Catherine with a C, and I felt compelled to help. After all, she was a chronicler, and I used to write all day, so...
She was our anchoress.
Ah, I see.
One of those hermits?
I didn't know they could just up and stop.
It's unusual, certainly.
I imagine it must be quite strange leaving a position like that after so much time. Were you born in there?
No, I was very young when I started, though. What's your favorite thing about being free?
Oh, don't upset her. She wasn't not free before. It's an important job, isn't it?
That's right. Oh, I didn't mean to offend. Still, though, it must be very different to be out and about all of a sudden.
Rick is taking a real shine to her new work. Yes, she's really been putting her back into it.
I couldn't tell if this was meant to be a jab at the altercation I thought we had put behind us or not, but it irritated me all the same.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm sorry I never made use of your services while you were anchored. Only, it's quite a commitment getting up there and back.
James make a trip more often than not. If there was one thing he was always good for, it was that.
Mail, supplies, that sort of thing, that was all his purview. I suppose he must have set his wicked sights on Sister Catherine.
Both Catherines.
One to see, yes. What do you mean by that, son?
I'm just saying there's a reason he liked to do the mail trip so often. Man. That is interesting, though. I didn't really pick up on that. There's a reason why this job in particular he was so committed to doing for Catherine.
Maybe he was watching her all this time. Or this whole time, even.
Best not to speculate. And don't blame yourselves. If it would make you feel better to make some sort of donation, I can let the superior know. Not that we came here to solicit that sort of thing, mind you. Oh, no, of course not. I hope I didn't offend.
Oh, no. It'd only be right.
It'd only be right. Yes.
I wanted very badly to tell these poor people that I had spoken with James, and that I was trying my very best to help him. Whatever joy the fritters had brought was nothing compared to the pain I could sense behind their rugged faces. These were delicious, by the way.
Sister Darcy always was a talent. You lot should come down here more often.
I agree.
I suppose you'll be off to see the town now?
Yes. Hopefully we brought enough of these.
I won't bother you for seconds then. You have a good day now, sisters.
Maxwell Beast.
We all exchanged nods. Eustace led the way past the farm back towards the road. That went better than I had feared.
Really? I'd rather get cupped than do that again. Those poor people. They really were very sweet. How horrible for them, though.
Those are the only 2 villagers I remember. If there are any more villagers in the future, I don't remember anything about them, and I don't know whose voice we should take. So
We'll just alternate. It's fine. What's the worst that
Alright.
can happen?
I only meant that I don't know. In the cart ride down, I was half expecting to be met with swords and spears.
Who says we won't be? We're not in the village proper yet.
I stopped dead in my tracks. The buildings ahead of us loomed like some dark fortress's gate, and I suddenly became very aware once again that I was further from my cell than I ever had been. Further than the hills, further than Hospitalum.
Not further than Germany, though. Get over yourself. Supposedly that's where you're from.
Oh, Eustace, don't scare her. Sorry. I'm just being glib. Are you ready, Hedwig?
Hold on. I doubled over, still clinging to the bag of fritters. I tried my best to take deep breaths, but it was difficult. I was no longer in complete control of my faculties.
Hedwig? You can do it, Hedwig.
I'm so far from home.
You have friends with you. It's all right.
What if I just drove the cart back myself? I could set someone else back down to collect you. I've had quite enough for today, I think.
You know how to drive a cart and mule? It's going to be fine. Look, I was just grousing on the way down. It's just silly personal drama. I probably made it seem bigger than it really is. At worst, it'll be a little awkward. You can handle awkward.
I want to go back.
Look, if someone is rude to you, you have my permission to slap them. Eustace!
I looked at a particularly large gulp of air and stood up straight.
Uh-oh. Look, you definitely shouldn't slap anyone here. I was joking.
It was funny.
Okay. But seriously, do not.
I won't. I would never.
Guess I got lucky. Are you ready?
Let's get this over with, shall we? Entering the village proper was immediately dizzying. I only had just started growing accustomed to the size and scope of the abbey. Signer, interesting. But now I was surrounded by buildings and streets that were unto themselves their own little abbeys. Despite being spread out between buildings, courtyards, gates, and windows, I had been able to think about Lynborough Abbey as one place. Leaving my cell had been painful, but I was still, at least in a world I could understand. I could not bring myself to think about the village of the same way. Even though it was the village of Lynborough, I tried to stretch my understanding to include all of the places in my head as Lynborough, but it was impossible. I had no idea how Eustace and Moira could walk so calmly between shops and houses and inns and not feel terrified. Does that sound mad? It sounds mad to say it out loud, but it really wasn't possible to comprehend. One could not walk, I presumed, from one house to another the way I was allowed in the Abbey. The only place I was restricted from going was back off to Eustace's library, which was really only a request. I watched people knocking on doors and waiting for someone to invite them in. I saw men standing impatiently outside the shops waiting for proprietors to return. Everyone, it seemed, was beholden to the terms of some uneasy peace treaty. Everyone was a king of their own little castle. Living like this would have made me even more miserable than the Abbey did. As we passed people in the street, we would offer them fritters from our bags. Most conversation was short, if it was a conversation at all. Moira was perfectly chipper, and Eustace maintained her usual calm demeanor through even though more brusque encounters. The Brutus people asked as if we weren't even there. One even bumped Eustace on the shoulder, and I'm sure it was on purpose. Eustace didn't react at all, save for a quietly muttered curse word I dare not repeat. For my own part, I was doing my best to keep up the act. I dragged my feet to lockstep with my cohorts. I went through the motions of lifting up the bag. I didn't speak unless I absolutely needed to. I forced a smile to each passerby instead, hoping it would be enough. My cheeks were already numb by the end of the first street.
Goodness, we still have so many left. Darcy made too many, as usual. That's just like her.
She's very kind. Is there something wrong with her making lots?
No, of course not. Oh. Sweet how excited she gets about helping out.
Ah,
Not every observation about someone is a criticism.
no.
Oh, be nice. Aren't you just getting snitty about Hedwig calling you? I can't even remember now. Inscrutable.
That wasn't really a criticism either. It seemed that Moira was the only one of us having any fun. We trudged through more streets, passing at fritters and knocking on doors. Not a single person had anything to say to us beyond the courtesy greeting and thanks, and many people didn't even have those to spare.
I don't think anyone is home. Try just one more time. I'd feel terrible if we missed someone. Not a peep.
All of a sudden, I was soaked. It happened so fast I didn't even realize what had happened at first. It felt as if someone had boxed me around the ears.
Big.
An unconcerned-looking woman was looking down at us from the window above, holding a still-dripping laundry bucket.
My apologies, miss. I didn't see you three down there.
Of course not. It's very easy to miss nuns at the door.
Well, there's no need for sarcasm, miss.
Neither Eustace nor Moira had gotten very wet at all. I, however, was covered head to toe. There was an unpleasant frosty smell coming from the water, and I realized that my bag of fritters was sopping wet as well.
Would you like a fritter, madam?
No, thank you, miss.
Of course, madam. Will just be off.
Have a good day, miss.
The woman retreated from the window without so much as an apologetic glance in my direction.
Well, at least it was water. Here, Hedwig. Let me carry that.
No. No.
I mean, if you're sure.
Eventually, we came to a square with several diverging streets. Eustace leaned against the wall, looking fed up. Moira looked as if she finally noticed that Eustace and I were not as sociable as she was. Her pleasant smile morphed into an expression altogether more concerned.
How are you two doing? I just want to get this over with.
Yes, I've had quite enough of this, to be honest. Nobody seems to even care that we're here. Maybe it'd be best to just cut our losses and go home.
We can't do that. No, that wouldn't be right.
Why not? Both of you had horrible things to say about the people here on the way down.
Not so loud.
And with all honesty, I must agree with them now. And you're dedicated to finishing a completely thankless task for them? Why?
He has a point. I mean, I don't love the idea of telling the Superior we gave up, but we really can't go back until we finished.
Why not?
Eustace?
Moira motioned for Eustace to come closer and whispered something into her ear through her hood.
Ah. Right. I'm sorry, Hedwig, but we really need to do this job properly. I know it's difficult.
What's going on?
Thing. It's really nothing.
What kind of fool do you take me for? What did you tell her?
Hedwig?
Why does nobody treat me with any sort of respect? Am I so difficult to explain things to? Would my fragile little mind simply burst if you explained whatever you told to me to her as well?
No. Hedwig, please. You're making a scene again.
Moira took a step forward, positioning herself between Eustace and me.
Hedwig, I don't think you were foolish or difficult or anything like that.
So what did you tell her?
I can't say.
The fury had been nursing before the cart ride was now in full force, and this time I could not control it. I raised my hand, and Moira flinched, but she stood her ground. I did not hit her, of course, although I would not like to dwell on how close I came. Instead, I jabbed a finger in her face to gesticulate angrily. So you're lying then?
No. Hedwig, no.
Oh, how like Elijah I felt. Not bald, but nonetheless belittled and insulted for things outside of my control. I cursed Moira, I cursed Eustace, I cursed the whole town for all to hear.
We need to get her back to the Abbey. This isn't healthy for her.
I hope Angela is right about bears.
Huh?
I said I hope Angela's right about the bloody bears.
I don't follow?
Eustace was nonplussed, but Moira had pieced my admittedly cumbersome insult together. Tears were rolling down her cheeks.
You don't really mean that, Hedwig?
Her sniffling caught me off guard. But before I had a chance to feel sorry, she had stormed off away from the town square. Her bag of fritters was still in her hand, and I remember that it bounced so inelegantly it would have been funny on any other situation. Eustace cast a mild, yet dark expression at me.
If you wanted to get back to the Abbey sooner, you should have kept that little tantrum to yourself.
Well, what did she tell you?
Never you mind.
She hoisted her bag over her shoulder and made to follow Moira.
Stay put. I'll clean up this mess.
Wait, you're leaving me alone?
Yes.
But no, that's silly. Let me come with you. I'm really sorry about all that. This is just so different and...
Stay. Put.
Why?
Because I don't really want to be around you right now.
but we're friends, right? We said so. You said so in the cart. Without another word, she turned around and set off after Moira. I was left all alone in the town square. My frock was still dripping mildewy water into the cobblestones. I let the wet sack of food fall to the ground and sat down on the low wall. I gripped the bricks, digging my fingernails into the hard stone and biting my own lip, trying not to cry. Was my behavior so out of line? I deeply regretted upsetting Moira, but I had withstood just about enough for one adventure. I was in a strange place where strange things were happening to me, and now I was all alone. Every now and then one of the townsfolk would walk through the square, but they paid me no mind. A dog wandered over to me. I froze. I had never seen one before. I recognized it instantly, but it was scared stiff. Even if it was a farm animal, I couldn't help but notice its sharp teeth and animal eyes. Shoo! I'm not food! The hound ignored my pleas and instead began snuffling around my legs. I held my breath as it rudely prodded my stomach with its snout all of a sudden. Please go away! I yelped as the creature drew itself up to my hind legs and rested its front paws on my knees. Not daring to move in case it felt like tearing me to pieces, I whimpered as it continued sniffling. After a genuinely harrowing handful of moments, it finally decided I didn't seem all that tasty and returned to the ground, but not before licking my face for good measure. I was relieved that I was spared from becoming its dinner, but... Come now, why are you laughing? I was frightened. I could have been eaten. Oh. Really now? Anyway, the beast turned its attention from the sack of fritters to the ground. I suppose that it had smelled those first and had been looking for them the whole time it had been assaulting me, but nonetheless, it had given me an awful fright. Even still, I felt the creature deserved better than dirty fritters. Leave those alone. They're all foul and soggy. The dog paid me no mind and wrestled with the sack until the contents spilled out into the stone. Immediately, the dog had been scarfing down huge bites of the sodden pastries, which were quickly becoming one messy blob. Don't! I suppose I had no reason to stop it. At the very least, it wasn't eating my face. Does that not bother you? Is there nothing better for you to eat? I reasoned with the dog, probably had no reason to care, for the food was soaked through the dirty water. I sat and watched it eat. It was deeply unpleasant, but I couldn't look away. Moist crumbs fell out of its mouth as it chomped loudly. The same food was being lapped up over and over. Eventually, however, the laundry water seemed to win. The dog made a shuddery, spasming motion that made me flinch reflexively. I was unsure if it was about to wheel around and to attack me. Instead, it made a ghastly hacking sound. Half-chewed slop poured out of its mouth. A fetid mountain of ruined pastry grew ever larger, yet it kept eating. It paid no mind to what assuredly must have tasted even worse after coming out of than before it went in. Had this creature been a man, I would have begged him to stop, but all I could do was watch it continue to regurgitate and reconsume the horrid slop and sweet pastries had become. Then I heard the sound of trumpets. A mule in a wooden cart had arrived in the town square. No driver sat in the front seat. A wooden pole sat in the place of a rider, reaching up to the sky. I moved my gaze into the pole to see that a large flag, or perhaps a kite, was drifting idly into the midday breeze. I held my breath as a cart passed me by. Another cart passed me by, and then another, each flying a new color, a different flag, a new kite. It drove in circles around the square. I think there were a dozen in all. A dog chased its tails and mules as they walked past, dodging out of the way of the wheels at the last possible moment each time one came too close. In between each cart's passing, a little creature would return to its prized mound of filth for another bite before getting distracted again by the next donkey's tail. The trumpets blew again, this time much louder, deeper, more mournful. A new kite joined the procession. This time, not a simple flapping cloth, but intricately adorned effigy. A man. His face was chiseled handsomely, his expression stoic. 2 poles held his effigy aloft, one in each man's wooden hands. As his cart passed me, the effigy's head turned to face me. His eyes met with mine, and I realized it was no effigy at all, but a real figurine. His gaze felt terrifying and peaceful all at once. He beckoned me to follow him. The dog had disappeared. Only its horrid meal remained. I took care to avoid stepping in it as I left my perch at the low wall and followed the cart as it peeled away from the procession in the square. I assume it continued behind me. I do not know. I was transfixed by the cart ahead of me. I followed the cart and its floating rider through the empty streets. I felt disconnected from my body as if my footsteps were happening after I had already performed the next. I was drifting over the cobblestones. I felt as light as the man above the cart did. A sight of the effigy had already made me weep, but I could feel a confused urge to burst into sobs welling up inside. But I also felt light, calm, and even joyous. I felt everything there possibly was a feel at once. As the cart reached a dead end, however, I felt a moment of doubt. I did not want the sensation to end. I doubled back, hoping the cart would turn and lead me again. It did no such thing. I felt a brief moment of panic as I turned around to perhaps coax the man to follow me, and saw that it had disappeared. I gasped and lunged around again, hoping I had just missed it passing me. No such luck. I spun around again and again until I realized I was no longer touching the ground. I floated above the village. I could see all the streets, all the houses, all the nasty little fiefdoms, and the people who ruled them. I was being pulled up and up by some force that I knew I had to give myself over to. This was right. This was where I needed to be. The strange sensations that I had been tugged up by the scruff of my neck eventually gave way to a feeling of blissful control. I was flying now, just as the man above the cart had been. I was flying higher, in fact, and all the people below me could see the cruelty and indifference had wrought. My ascendance, their abandonment. But then I felt that hand around my neck again. Firmer this time, more assertive. I was dragged by the throat, the rest of the way up to my destination. A plateau above the village overlooking the lake. I struggled to breathe. My breath was ragged. I begged with whatever it was that held me to let go. Eventually, I was flung into the grass. I fell on my back in the cold dew, my head crashing against the dirt. I felt a ripple of pain emanate from the back of my skull all the way out through my whole body. I could not move anymore. I stared into the clouds. There was a deep gray, heavy with rain. They covered the sky almost completely, save for the bright spot growing brighter above me. The clouds parted, and the man I had followed appeared between them. He was gigantic, magnificent, terrifying. His piercing stare kept me pinned to the ground. The trumpet sounded one final time. The man finally blinked. With a slow and regal grace, he withdrew between the black rain clouds that flanked him. It began to pour. I was all alone.
It's the same voice from earlier.
I guess so.
Sister. I thought I saw you wandering up the hill. Are you all right?
No.
You'll catch cold if you stay out here too long. I'm assuming it's a different farmer, but I don't know.
Maybe.
Come on, up you get. Because person's profile would be there.
No.
What's gotten into you? It's a good thing I stepped outside when I did. I'd hate to think what would have happened if you'd gotten stuck up there all by your lonesome. You feel quite clammy.
No.
Where'd your friends get to? Did you get lost? You were the new one, eh? Easy to do around here. I still have to second guess myself sometimes if I wander further than the inn. We can send you up to the Abbey once you're warmed up. Are you hungry?
No.
I'll tell the wife we have a guest. Lucky enough, we've always kept enough around for 3. Okay, it was the same guy. Here you are. Well, eat at your own pace. You should eat, though. Climbing that hill all by yourself, that's hard work.
In those shoes, no less.
No.
Did something happen?
She looks quite dazed.
Miss, sister, did someone get rough with you?
Or did you have a fall, perhaps? I'd imagine it'd be easy if that path hadn't been taken in some donkey's ears.
Is there anything we should tell your abbess?
No.
Eat up, dear.
This is not on. If one of those towny bastards mistreated her, they won't hear the end of it.
She's shaking her head.
Thank God for that. Do try to eat something. Whatever happened has clearly rattled you.
Catherine, with a K.
The dead woman?
No. No, she means our Catherine with a K. Birthmark on her face. Oh, birthmark on her face.
If you say so. I'm rubbish remembering that sort of thing.
The tall woman from the estate. You remember.
Ah. So she really did take the vows? Well, I'll be.
Yes, she lives in the Abbey now. I could not bring myself to look at them. And do you think she could kill someone?
What sort of question is that?
Well, yes.
Harold!
It's common knowledge.
Even still. You're upsetting her. She's clearly a little touched right now.
What is common knowledge?
Well,
Harold, do not upset her any further.
she killed her husband, didn't she?
No.
Now look what you've gone and done.
Who was her husband?
The lord of the estate, over by the lake. It was a terrible scandal.
And there was proof?
Well, not that I know of. But is proof enough, I suppose, that she opted to take the veil.
We should stop talking about this. It's not proper. Why would she kill him?
Had something to do with infidelity, if I remember right.
It's not spoken of anymore. The whole... Was that Farmer's Wife? I thought... Yeah, Farmer's
Yeah,
Wife.
it was Farmer's Wife.
Alright. The whole village put it behind
I
him when
stopped
she
looking.
left. And who is the lord of the estate now?
Truth be told, I can't be arsed to keep up with titles and whatnot. The new lord only occasionally visits, I think.
A house with a murder like that is hanging over it. I can't imagine it very comfortable to stay there long. How did Catherine with the K's husband die?
She cut his head clean off with his own sword. Or so they said. I wasn't there, so I couldn't tell you for sure. But one way or another, he ended up without his noggin.
Mm.
Nasty business. Nasty place in general, this hill. Something here must drive folks mad, I reckon. First, Catherine as you put it, then our James. Rich or poor, something will grab you. I'd move, but that's a task easier said than done.
They spoke so freely of the horrid crime. It was common knowledge even. The answer, it seemed, had been available to me all this time. Several simple questions were all I needed to ask. At the wife's urging, I tried to eat and drink. I had tried to eat a little more of the pottage they had so kindly provided. I didn't take, however. I was elsewhere still. I felt shame. Shame for how long it had taken me to make any forward momentum on my task, for Catherine with the C's sake. Shame for how simple the connections I had needed to make seemed now. I felt shame that I had taken a vision to put me in this path. What I had just experienced was a divine course correction, a kind of thing reserved, I imagine, for good sailors lost at sea or troops wandering in the desert. That I had been deemed worthy of this kind of direct messaging from God spoke very highly of Catherine with a C. Surely I felt that it was more important people to be helping than I. Perhaps I had been aided in their stead. Perhaps there was a prayer out there left unanswered before I was too foolish to do a simple job. Perhaps, as impossible as it may suggest, I was stupid enough to put a strain on God's omnipresence. Matthew 6:28. Considerate Lilia Agni. Oh, that's not considerate. Okay. It is considerate. Why is the rest of it Latin? Oh well.
Well, that would also be Latin.
Oh. Considerate. Perhaps I am lower than the lily, which thrives while wanting for nothing.
They always translate it for you the next line. You don't have to gabba gabba gabba.
Yeah, but why not?
You know
So
what?
dramatic.
You got me there.
I know. But was I, am I wrong to think it?
Yes,
God
you are.
provides for all, and God is not limited to any one action at one given time. Feel sometimes that I could just be that wretched. Of course, as I might remind myself it is in a better mood, that's conceited talk. Or perhaps I am allegorizing the flowers and the birds too heavily, as Augustine warns us about. Who am I to complain after all? I have suffered far less than Job, yet here I am lamenting more than he ever did. Whether I am damned or just conceited, there is no path that leads me away from shame.
What'd you mean by all that? Anyway, that must be your friends.
The man stood up and got the door. I did not turn around. I was deep in thought, staring into the fireplace. The flames were more comforting, more understanding, more understandable than any pair of eyes I had ever looked into. I could hear pleasantries being exchanged, footsteps on the wooden floor. I could feel 2 cold, wet presences approaching behind me. Soon I would have to leave the comfort of the fireside to join them.
Hedwig?
Sister Moira, Sister Eustace, can you forgive me? It was pointless to wait for the back of the train, so my companion said. The ride back up the hill to the abbey was much soggier than the trip down. Some were travelers in carts, flanked by armored horsemen, passed us by at the village outskirts. They looked just as miserable as I felt. I could hear raindrops plinking against their helmets as they hurried into the town. We sat in silence for the first third or so. I looked out at the back of the cart towards the farmhouse chimney, yearning for the security of that fireplace until the building was out of sight entirely.
I told the superior this was a bad idea, you know.
You were wrong.
Oh?
Yes. I learned something very important today.
Really, now?
Yes. It would be difficult to explain.
We have time. Now, Eustace. I've already forgiven the poor woman. There's no need to torment her. I'm not tormenting her. I'm curious.
Well, after we split up, I watched a parade go by.
There was a parade? No. There wasn't.
I had finally given up on trying to stare into the increasingly distant fireplace and turned to face Eustace. She looked tired.
So, what do you mean, a parade?
I mean exactly that. I'm sure you can understand. I had a vision.
Really now?
Yes, I swear it. I saw a parade, a procession of carts with no riders, all carrying grand kites and banners, and one of them, I thought at first, carried an effigy. But it was, well, it got more mysterious after that, I suppose.
What happened? Yes, tell us. This is very interesting.
Well, I followed that particular cart for a while. I suppose that's how I ended up wandering away from town square.
Understandable. I did tell you to stay put, but I might make an exception for a vision.
Eventually, I lost him, but then I was carried through the air. I know this sounds quite strange, and then whatever courage the fire had given me had finally waned. I could not bring myself to explain the entirety of my experience to Eustace, whose expression remained, dare I say it, inscrutable. And then I came to, I suppose. I'm not quite sure how to describe it.
You flew? She walked. That farmer saw her climbing the hill.
Do you not believe me?
I believe you felt like you were flying.
I felt it. I saw it. I was in the air, however briefly.
The man said he found you laying down in the grass at the top of the hill, getting soaked by the rain.
I know it sounds hard to believe, but it's what happened. Eustace sighed deeply and pulled her hood tighter over her head.
People don't fly.
Perhaps flying is the wrong word. I was being carried? It's not like I had control of my faculties in the air.
Like you were plucked from the earth by God's own hand.
Well, yes.
Moira, the man saw her climbing the hill. So he says. Maybe he saw her after she had come back to the ground. Or maybe both things are completely true. How would that work? Well, Hedwig could have been carried, and maybe the farmer was shown an image of her climbing. I mean, she would have been far away from the house, just sort of a shape. So he would have to go and find her. So God carried Hedwig up the hill and showed an image to her of her to a man who was already nearby. 2 divine revelations within, I don't know, 10 or 15 meters of each other? Darcy has visions all the time. Why is Hedwig having one so hard to believe? So now we have 3 people in close proximity, all having grand visions. It does beg our belief, just a tad. I think it's beautiful. Maybe this mountain is just special.
Eustace let the squelching out of the mud beneath the cart wheels answer for her.
I just think it's possible. That's all. At any rate, it's a moot point to argue. I don't think Hedwig is lying. I just don't know if I can accept that it really happened. What about Darcy's vision? You've got quite an interest in those, haven't you? Darcy's are different.
In what sense?
Well, she's never claimed to be flying in any of hers.
What does happen in hers typically?
Why don't you ask her and spare me the Inquisition?
No.
That was uncalled for. It's been a long afternoon. You can say that again. Can we all please make up before we get back to the Abbey?
I'd like that. I'm sorry for being so hysterical.
You're not hysterical. It's a cruel idea to force you into coming, I think. I'm sorry for insisting we stay longer.
I wanted to tell Moira she didn't know the half of it. She didn't deserve to worry about having forced me to do anything when the Superior demanded it in the first place. No, my behavior was inexcusable, as it is all too often. I thought I caught a glimpse of Eustace rolling her eyes out of the corner of my eye, but perhaps she was just adjusting her spectacles.
I can appreciate this trip was an extenuating circumstance.
Yes, I think next time I'll study the Abbey, if it's all the same to you.
Should at least take you on a picnic or some such. Small steps, you know? You can't stay cooped up in the Abbey forever.
I thought that was rather the point.
Ooh, you know, you have a dark sense of humor sometimes, Hedwig.
There was no handshake this time, but I did not feel like I should push things any further. The rest of the ride up to the Abbey was silent, but at the very least, it was slightly less uncomfortable silence than the one that preceded the conversation. I didn't like the uncertainty, but it would have to do. The rain was showing signs of letting up when we finally arrived. I was particularly beragged. The indignity of the laundry waters incident was something that I would stick with me permanently, and as soon as I hopped out of the cart, I made a beeline for the dorms to change.
Oh. Hedwig? Where are you off to now?
The dormitory. I must get out of these wet robes or I'll never be dry again in my life.
Why don't I draw a bath?
I had to admit, this sounded like a wonderful idea. You know, I think I would like a bath very much.
We all would after an outing like that, I think. What day is it again? November the 21st, I think. Perfect.
I froze. I had not realized that Moira had meant we should all take a bath together at once, and I did not like the idea at all. Oh, perhaps I'll have one tomorrow.
Nonsense. You'll catch cold if you don't.
Do we have to heat up the water for it? Do we have time to heat up the water for it?
With any luck, someone else already had the bright idea to take a bath today.
I couldn't help myself. I groaned aloud and pulled my hood over my eyes.
What's the matter? I suspect... Oh, you don't have to join us, Hedwig. But I think it'll be a good idea. Well, that decides it.
Curse my wretched body. I would have escaped the simulation if it weren't for that little sneeze, I'm sure of it. Oh, go on then.
You run up and get your change of frocks. Eustace, would you mind getting mine? On it.
We made our way upstairs to the dorms quickly, dripping water all along the way. At the top of the stairs, I nearly ran straight into Darcy. Oh, good, you are back. I was just looking for you, Eustace.
Hello, Dars.
Do you have a minute? I need your help with something.
Of course. Hedwig, would you mind getting Moira's clothes? Hers is the door between Catherine and Darcy's.
Oh, yes, I can do that. Eustace nodded, and Darcy hobbled away, back down the staircase. Eustace stopped for a moment on the landing, however, and turned to me.
That reminds me. You should talk to Darcy later. You know. About your vision?
Oh, yeah, I will try to remember to do so. Eustace nodded, then disappeared down the stairs after Darcy. I quickly scooped up my dry frock from the dormitory. No suspiciously placed books on my dorm bed, I noted. It felt wrong to intrude in Moira's room, but at this point, I desired nothing more than to get this whole exercise over with as quickly as possible. I opened her door and slipped inside, on the lookout for spare clothes immediately. The last thing I wanted to do was gawk at somebody else's room uninvited. I could not help but notice how neat and tidy it was, however. There was a beautifully carved crucifix hanging on the wall above her pillow! And her reading desk was meticulously stocked with papers. A handsome quilt sat next to the inkpot as well. To cap it all off, there was a beautiful little box resting on the desk next to the organized papers. The wood was clearly expertly carpentered, and it was gilded in a regal yet understated fashion. The whole room had a sense of carefully considered elegance to it. It was perfectly fitting for Moira. Simple but radiant. Not vain, but reverent. Please do not tell Moira I just described her as simple. I did not mean it as an insult. Approachable? Uncomplicated. steadfast in her positivity. The bath situation is a perfect example of what I meant. I had been so cruel to her in the village and so perfectly honest. Eustace wasn't exactly kind to her in the cart either, but Moira's instinct was to bring us closer together. There's a simple beauty to that. I think so, at least. Anyway, I quickly identified what impeccably unfolded set of clothes next to her bed underneath the window. I scooped them up quickly. As I turned around, however, No. A pile of clothes I was carrying, I think, had brushed up against a quill resting atop her desk. I watched it tumble end over end to the floor, carrying the ink pot with it. No! Black liquid oozed out of the pile of broken glass. I scurried away and closed the door behind me in a panic. I checked the bottom of my shoes. There was nothing there, thank God. In reality, it was dead silent. But I promise you I could hear the bubbling, oozing, and dripping of the undoubtedly expensive ink I had just splashed all over the floor behind the door. If it's not one thing, it's always another with me. Was I being punished for dawdling once again? Should I have emphatically refused the offer of a bath and instead made a beeline to the superior's office? Should I have gone, then, at that very moment? Truthfully, I only came to that conclusion a bit later. In the actual moment, all I could think about was what to say to Moira, or if I would say anything at all. It's shameful to admit, but I was, frankly, terrified of putting my strain on our relationship at all after my embarrassing display in town. Moira was endlessly forgiving, but I worried that even I could find an end to her graciousness if I kept imposing upon her. And so, I decided I would leave this. I couldn't leave it quickly enough. I practically flew down the stairs. Suddenly I was very eager to get into the bath. Anything was better than being caught red-handed with a broken bottle of ink, even bearing myself in front of Moira and Eustace. This is a good place to end it.
Yeah. Pretty good. I don't like the assault on my eyes that the stream is doing, but that's honestly not even that big of a deal.
I really hope we can figure this out. That's a big reason I'm
Yeah.
ending it early, because I just really want to make sure we figure this out for next time.
Yeah, definitely. Did you notice the location during the flashback, or during the vision?
I think didn't it keep flickering Hedwig?
No, it was flickering between all-seeing, all-knowing.
Oh, weird. I didn't notice that
Yeah.
then.
I didn't notice it until towards the end, so I wasn't sure if it was something you would have seen at all.
No, I was too busy reading. Weird. It's so
yeah, I
cool.
figured. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a cool little scene.
Yeah, I
I
really
wonder
enjoyed
where
it.
the vision actually started, because the dog seems pretty vision-y as well.
Yeah, the dog definitely seemed vision-y. I feel like it started maybe when the dog started eating the fritters. I feel like the dog was there, but I don't think that it kept regurgitating the food and eating it. That feels like something that doesn't feel like something it would do. I'm trying, but you are right. I don't know where the vision starts and where it stops. Maybe the dog was
Yeah.
never there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I could see a dog, especially a hungry stray dog, doing that multiple
Mhm.
times, but maybe not that multiple times.
Yeah. I don't even know if it would do it that frequently. Like, wouldn't the point of it to be like having something in your stomach? I don't know.
Yeah, so if something's in your stomach and then it goes out, you gotta re-eat it.
Oh, was it vomiting or was it like regurgitating? I thought it was like
Well,
doing
it's
it on
said
purpose.
regurgitating, but I assume they're basically the same thing.
I thought, when I think of regurgitating, I think of birds and like regurgitating into its mouth. So I think of it like vomiting with purpose. So
I think of it like a dog just vomiting.
not being able to hold its food down.
Yeah.
I was thinking that it was so hungry that it just didn't want to stop eating, so it just kept eating the same thing over and over and over again to compensate for not having a lot of food to begin with.
Yeah. Who's to say?
I don't know.
I mean, us eventually. But...
Yeah, hopefully. Alright.
Good stuff. I'm exhausted. So
Yeah, I do not blame you one bit.
we were both yawning a whole heck of a lot.
Oh, I was really hoping that didn't come through. Drats. I yawn all the time, though, to be fair.
But yeah, same here. You just gotta hit the mute button. But you're you're reading, so you can't even do that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing to be done about it. That just means we get to say goodnight.
Good night, everyone. See you next time. Hopefully with
See you
better
next
quality.
Well, it's fine for all of you. It's only me who has to suffer.
Yeah,
But still.
but I feel
Good
like the quality of the streams in Discord stream affects the quality of the YouTube stream, because we don't want one of our narrators being a bit confused and behind. It kind of ruins it a little bit. So we're try to sort it out the best we can.
Very much so.